Is Mark Carney being installed by Liberal insiders to be the next Prime Minister of Canada? Is the fix in? A quick update before I continue with the rest of the video. Ruby Dhalla has been removed from the Liberal leadership race. I'm not going to get into the details right now, but basically after I had recorded this video, but before I finished the editing, the news came out that she had been removed from the leadership race. I'm going to do another video on it when I have some more information, but I just wanted to get this out while it was still somewhat relevant, and also as proof that it was obvious what was happening, that the fix was in for Mark Carney. So just watch with that in mind. Hey everyone, Canadian Renegade here. I'm going to do a bit of a news roundup today on the Liberal leadership race, and I'm just going to go through a few news articles. There's a couple on some candidates that have been removed from the running. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Mark Carney, and then we're going to talk about some of these recent polling results that seem to show the Liberals gaining a lot of ground on the Conservatives, and I'm going to maybe give my thoughts on those. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was there's been two Liberal candidates that have been removed from the Liberal leadership race. One was Chandra Arya, and the other one was Ruby Dhalla. And so I got a couple of little short articles here, or excerpts from articles. The first is from the National Post. It says, Arya says Liberals won't let him seek leadership, questions legitimacy of the next Prime Minister. And that was from January 26, 2025. So that's about a month old news. And I did remember hearing about it back then. An excerpt from that article. Liberal Party spokesman Parker Lund confirmed that Arya would not be a candidate, citing a section of the national leadership rules that state a prospective candidate can be disqualified if they are found to be manifestly unfit for the office of leader. Now, by national leadership rules, I'm assuming that means the national leadership of the Liberal Party. I don't think that that's actual law. It says that could be due to public statements, past improper conduct, a lack of commitment to democracy, or other reputational or legal jeopardy, the rules say. Isn't that Justin Trudeau? I mean, who has more scandals than Justin Trudeau? Who has, put his foot in his mouth more, said more things that are offensive, right? Like, what was that during the convoy? The small fringe minority, stuff like that. SNC Lavalin, right? We could go on and on with him. So maybe he should have probably been disqualified years and years ago, right? But anyways, it says Lund does not say what specifically led to Arya being removed from the race. Now, I did hear a rumor that it's because he doesn't speak French, but I mean, most of the French speakers in Canada are going to vote for Bloc Québécois anyways, so I would just let the Liberal Party voters decide who they want to vote for rather than choosing for them, right? Next article says Liberal Party questions leadership candidate Ruby Dhalla over possible interference from India, and it says written by Robert Fife, Ottawa Bureau Chief. Canadian Press, that's who it's from. It says the Liberal Party has sent a list of questions to leadership candidate Ruby Dhalla that raise concerns about possible foreign interference from India and alleged campaign irregularities, two Liberal sources say. Ms. Dhalla, the sources say, was provided with 27 questions on Monday and given a deadline to respond. The sources say some of the questions involve possible foreign interference in her leadership campaign from the Indian government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Probably butchered that first name. There were also allegations, the sources say, of backroom involvement in her campaign by Conservatives such as Brampton Mayor Patrick Brown, a former Conservative MP and Ontario Party leader. If she's going to have to answer this questionnaire about foreign interference, then why isn't everybody that's running having to answer the same questionnaire? I mean, we know that there's Chinese foreign interference that's been going on. I know that that report that was released recently kind of said it was more or less a nothing burger, but obviously that's not true. Just because a few, people like investigated their own party or their own people and said that they didn't do anything wrong, that I'm not buying that. I don't think the CSIS and the RCMP would have brought that up as an issue unless it was a really big issue. Funny how we've got another Indian candidate. I believe she said that she was going to drastically reduce immigration and deport any illegal migrants from Canada, which is something no other Liberal candidate, as far as I know, has said. And she was an MP, I think, from 2006 to 2011, and that was all before Justin Trudeau. So I don't think she's not part of the inner circle of Justin Trudeau, and I think that's why they don't want her running, because I feel like she's a bit of a wild card for them, and they probably don't think that they can control her. So they're just going to remove her from the race, just like they did Chandra, right? So that's at least they're being consistent there. So the reason why I bring this up about these two removals is I'm starting to get the feeling that they're obviously powerful people are pulling the strings and have basically predetermined that Mark Carney is going to win the Liberal leadership race. I think that they probably wouldn't mind that much if Chrystia Freeland got in. People have to remember that both Mark Carney and Chrystia Freeland have a huge involvement in the World Economic Forum. Chrystia Freeland, up until recently, actually had her own page on the World Economic Forum website, saying that she was on the board of trustees of the World Economic Forum. So, you know, Chrystia Freeland is also a globalist, Davos insider globalist, and so is Mark Carney. But I think they really are pushing for Mark Carney. I'm going to read another article here, or part of an article. It says, this is from the Edmonton Journal. David Staples, all the reasons why we can't trust Mark Carney to put Canada first. Peter Foster, a Cambridge educated economist, wrote in 2020, Carney's focus is radical change of the business and material world. This is from January 16th, 2025. This was written right after he announced that he was going to run here in Edmonton. So it says, in his stump speech, Carney talked of the importance of building and working together as a community, then listed his communities: Laurier Heights, the West End, Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. That's a fine list for a prospective prime minister, but he missed a few key communities, right? For instance, he left out Ottawa and London, where he was governor of the respective national banks. He missed New York City, where he's both the United Nations Special Envoy on climate action and finance and chair of the board of the huge international corporation Bloomberg, which I believe is mainly media, right? He also missed his community in Davos, Switzerland, where he and fellow Europeans, he also has UK and Irish citizenship, make up the foundation board of the World Economic Forum, and Toronto, where he's chair of the Canadian multinational Brookfield Asset Management, with its US $900 billion in assets. Carney has also said he sees himself as a member of the same social movement as radical climate activist Greta Thunberg. So, I mean, that's quite a laundry list of basically giant corporate interests and globalist interests with the Davos WEF stuff, and then, of course, all of his business interests. And this is the guy that's supposed to be thinking of the average Canadian first. Are you kidding me? Like, this guy is worse than Trudeau. And yet, it seems like most of these liberal, I don't even know what to call them at this point. They're just idiots. People, like, if anybody is going to vote liberal again, like, you're just asking for trouble, people. Right? You are, like, how bad do things have to get before you learn your lesson? And the reason why I bring that up is because the polls have recently showed that since Trump has gotten in, that the Liberal Party has gained drastic ground. They were down around 20% in the polls, and they've climbed all the way back up to like 33% or something like that. So I have a, this is from politicalpulse.net, and it looks like they compile different survey and poll information. And it's the article says, latest federal opinion polls, Canada 2025, CPC has 8-point lead over Liberal Party of Canada. CPC at 38.8% and the Liberal Party at 33.7%. But like I said, it wasn't that long ago that they were down around 20%. So back at the end of November, they were down around 20%, and the CPC was as high as 45%. And now the CPC is, according to this graph, 39.5%, and the Liberal Party is at 33.5%. Looks like NDP, like all the ground that the Liberals are gaining right now, it looks like the NDP is losing it. So it's almost like people are switching from NDP over to the Liberal Party. And to me, that's concerning. Now, I don't know if some of this is, you know, certain pollsters exaggerating numbers to try to encourage Liberal voters, and also to try to demotivate conservative voters. If that's the case, I mean, we really need to not fall for the bait. If you are planning on voting conservative, you need to be more active in this next election than you've ever been before in your life. I honestly think the future of Canada is at stake here. If we get another version of Trudeau, there's no telling the damage that's going to be done to Canada. It might, I honestly don't know if it would be recoverable. But yeah, we need to be active. We need to be getting the message out that Carney is worse than Trudeau, and that if you didn't like the inflation and the high home prices and the carbon taxes and the crime and the excessive immigration, then you really should not be voting Liberal, because you're just going to get more of that. I don't care what Carney says. This guy is a WEF shill, and he is going to just continue. Like the things that have happened over the last 10 years, those are all things that the World Economic Forum wanted to happen, right? Like those are things that they have promoted. Immigration, you know, not having property rights. Like, how are you going to take away people's property? Oh, you could make it unaffordable. You can make housing unaffordable. You could ban the guns, right? You can make driving unaffordable. For a lot of people, driving is starting to become unaffordable now. The vehicles are so expensive. Insurance is high. Gas is high, right? Remember, what was that slogan out of the WEF? In the future, you'll own nothing and be happy, right? Like that's basically the platform that Trudeau has been pushing. That's not, I know they say other things, right? They have their own line of BS rhetoric, but that's basically what they've been pushing. And so yeah, it could be that this is a real trend. I'm hoping it's just smoke and mirrors. I'm hoping that, you know, a lot of times I do believe that pollsters get paid to basically manipulate, like basically using polls as a way to manipulate public opinion or public perception. And so I'm hoping that that's all that's going on here. But maybe it is a real movement, right? Like, we're seeing people booing the United States at hockey games. Like, I get that the tariffs are not popular. I don't want tariffs, right? But, you know, I'm not gonna boo an entire country because I don't, you know, like what their current administration is doing, right? Like, I thought we were allies and friends with the United States. I don't know why all of a sudden there's this combative, and I think this whole combative type of mentality, I think that's being inserted by the media into the consciousness of you know, of Canadians, because the same people who hated Canada, who hated Canada's history, who said that, you know, white Canadians are a bunch of racists and Canadian history is bad, now they're all for Canada, Canadian flag. All of a sudden they've all become a bunch of patriots, right? Because of a few tariffs. And it's like, are these tariffs worse than what you've already endured under Trudeau for the last 10 years? I don't think so, but all of a sudden it seems like everybody's forgotten about that. They're all distracted with this nonsense from the United States. And yeah, I guess the media and the insiders are just playing it to their advantage. But anyways, stay on guard, guys. Get the message out. Every single person who's conservative needs to be voting in the next election. If you know somebody who's sort of conservative and isn't voting, you need to get them out to vote. We have got to win this next election. Canada is at stake, to be honest. Okay, take care, guys.